On a bright morning in September 1988, a 19-year-old college student vanished along a familiar stretch of highway in New Mexico, leaving behind only scattered fragments of a broken cassette tape and tire marks on the asphalt. Tara Calico had informed her family she would be home by noon for a tennis match, yet she never returned. How does a young woman vanish without a trace on a clear morning? And why did a single enigmatic photograph years later plunge this case into 3 decades of agonizing uncertainty? Tara Calico was an energetic sophomore at the University of New Mexico's Valencia County campus, known for her rigorous study habits and athletic routine. Living in Belen, New Mexico, a tight-knit community south of Albuquerque, she spent her mornings riding her mother's pink bicycle along New Mexico State Road 47. Her mother, Doel, had previously accompanied her on these rides, but stopped due to concerns about aggressive drivers, urging Tara to carry pepper spray for protection. On September 20th, 1988, Tara departed her home at approximately 9:30 a.m., wearing a white t-shirt, shorts, and athletic shoes while listening to a cassette player. When she failed to return by 12:05 p.m., Doel set out to search the routine 2-mile stretch of highway. Along the shoulder, investigators located pieces of a shattered cassette tape and player, suggesting a physical struggle or a hasty drop, but found no sign of the bicycle or Tara herself. The Valencia County Sheriff's Office launched an extensive search, mobilizing local volunteers, bloodhounds, and helicopter sweeps across the surrounding desert terrain. Investigators established an alibi, a verified statement of an individual's whereabouts at the time an offense occurred, for several local residents initially deemed suspects. Despite interviewing witnesses who reported seeing a light-colored pickup truck following Tara shortly before her disappearance, physical evidence remained virtually non-existent, bringing the search to a frustrating standstill. Without tracks, forensic entomology, the study of insect activity on biological remains to estimate time of death, could not be utilized, as no remains were uncovered. Law enforcement logged the recovered cassette fragments, analyzing them for fingerprints, but the non-porous plastic yielded no conclusive forensic leads. The lack of blood, drag marks, or personal items beyond the tape player suggested that Tara was forcibly moved into a vehicle before any significant physical altercation took place. For Doel and the rest of the Calico family, the initial weeks turned into a prolonged exercise in agony as search parties gradually disbanded without answers. Patty maintained an active role in pushing law enforcement to expand their search radius, organizing public awareness campaigns and petitioning regional authorities. The silence from the desert was deafening, leaving the family stranded between the agonizing possibilities of abduction and murder, while the local community in Belen remained deeply rattled by the mystery. As months elapsed without new leads, the case risked becoming a classic cold case, an unsolved criminal investigation that remains open but is no longer actively pursued due to a lack of actionable evidence. Detective files accumulated dust as investigators exhausted their immediate tips, waiting for a breakthrough. That potential breakthrough arrived nearly 900 miles away under extraordinary and deeply unsettling circumstances. On June 15, 1989, a woman in Port St. Joe, Florida, discovered a Polaroid photo lying face down in a convenience store parking lot where a white cargo van had departed. The picture depicted a young woman and a young boy, both bound with black duct tape across their mouths and their arms tied behind their backs inside a vehicle. A copy of a paperback novel rested beside the female captive, hinting at subtle environmental clues within the frame. The horrifying image ignited a national media storm, prompting federal agencies to intervene as authorities evaluated whether the female captive was indeed Tara Calico. Doel examined the photograph and expressed strong confidence that the young woman was her daughter, pointing to a distinct scar on the woman's leg similar to one Tara received in an accident. However, forensic analysis by the Federal Bureau of Investigation proved inconclusive regarding the identity of the captive. While the photograph fixated public attention, investigators struggled to establish a definitive link between the Florida photo and the missing student in New Mexico. Modus operandi, the specific method or pattern of procedure employed by a criminal, in the photograph suggested a premeditated captivity, which starkly contrasted with the sudden disappearance along State Road 47. Federal authorities analyzed the vehicle interior seen in the Polaroid, but could not trace the make or model of the van. Subsequent forensic examinations by Scotland Yard concluded that the woman in the photo was likely Tara, whereas analyses by national laboratories remained disputed. Two other mysterious Polaroid photographs surfaced years later in different parts of the country, presenting similar unsettling imagery, but neither was confirmed to be connected to the Belen disappearance. The singular photo created a paradoxical dynamic, drawing global interest, yet severely distracting resources from local physical evidence in Valencia County. The agonizing uncertainty generated by the Polaroid photo weighed heavily on Patty Doel for the remainder of her life. She relocated to Florida with her husband in her later years, keeping a dedicated room filled with case files, newspaper clippings, and missing person flyers. Patty passed away in 2006 without learning the true fate of her daughter, having spent nearly 2 decades pursuing every prospective lead. In the late 2000s, local law enforcement turned their focus back toward Belen, re-examining the original crime scene and early witness statements with fresh analytical methods. Re-evaluating the physical terrain of State Road 47, investigators analyzed the timing of traffic patterns in September 1988 to reconstruct the exact window during which Tara vanished. This localized focus aimed to cut through the noise generated by national rumors. In 2008, former Valencia County Sheriff Rene Rivera publicly stated his belief that he knew what had occurred to Tara Calico on the day she vanished. Rivera asserted that 2 local teenagers in a pickup truck were following Tara, accidentally struck her bicycle, and subsequently concealed her body to prevent prosecution. However, without physical remains or a verifiable confession, prosecutors concluded there was insufficient evidence to secure a conviction. The theory involving local youths brought both renewed hope and intense frustration to the surrounding community. According to reports cited by local media, multiple individuals may have possessed knowledge of the event for decades, but kept silent due to local ties or fear of retribution. This perspective suggested that the primary hurdle in solving the case was not a master criminal's genius, but rather a wall of silence within a jurisdiction. The absence of a body created insurmountable legal and physical obstacles for district attorneys evaluating the case file. In criminal prosecution, corpus delicti, the fundamental principle that a crime must be proven to have occurred before a person can be convicted, presents a high evidentiary burden when physical remains are missing. Without forensic evidence linking specific suspects to a crime scene, circumstantial statements alone rarely suffice. The enduring silence from the desert landscape continues to haunt the surviving members of the Calico family and the community of Belen. Tara's step-siblings and extended relatives have kept her memory alive, ensuring that her image remains visible in digital archives and cold case databases. The psychological toll on small communities, when a violent crime remains unpunished, creates a lingering shadow of suspicion across generations. The trajectory of the investigation illustrates the unique perils faced by law enforcement when unverified evidence dominates a missing person case. The dramatic discovery of the Florida photograph captivated international headlines, yet it may have inadvertently diverted focus away from critical local clues in Valencia County. Understanding how investigative momentum shifts when high-profile theories emerge is essential for cold case units seeking to balance sensational leads against facts. Advancements in modern technology, including high-sensitivity DNA profiling and advanced digital enhancement, continue to be applied to legacy evidence in the Calico file. Items recovered from the original search, including the cassette tape fragments and historical vehicle reports, remain in secure evidence storage. Modern investigative genealogy tools offer potential avenues if biological trace evidence is successfully extracted from preserved materials. Decades after that clear September morning, basic questions regarding the sequence of events along State Road 47 remain officially unanswered. Did Tara fall victim to an opportunistic predator traveling through New Mexico, or was her disappearance the result of a tragic local incident covered up by individuals? Until physical remains or definitive physical evidence is recovered, both possibilities remain active within federal and local databases. In October 2023, the Valencia County Sheriff's Office announced that they had submitted a comprehensive case file to the District Attorney's Office for review, indicating that new leads and statements were being evaluated. Though details remain confidential to protect the integrity of the process, officials expressed cautious optimism that justice might finally be pursued. The development reflects the relentless determination required by law enforcement officers across decades. The disappearance of Tara Calico stands as a stark reminder of the fragile boundary between routine daily life and sudden, agonizing mystery. Her mother's quiet persistence and the enduring efforts of investigators underscore a collective refusal to let time erase the demand for truth. Until the missing pieces are finally assembled, the quiet roads of Valencia County will hold their secret, waiting for clarity to replace decades of silence.